Thank you, John. Good morning. My name is Tammy Reno, and I'm the Assistant Director of the White Collar and Civil Litigation Staff at the Department of Justice Executive Office for U.S. Attorneys. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, who will be making opening remarks this morning about the Department of Justice's commitment to protecting our nation's financial system and our communities from fraud in the digital age. Mr. Rosenstein is a department lifer. He is a career prosecutor who has devoted his life's work to serving justice. He joined the department 27 years ago after graduating with honors from the Wharton School and Harvard Law School, and after clerking for Judge Douglas Ginsburg of the United States D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. He came to the department through the Attorney General's Honors Program and has had an incredibly varied and distinguished career with the department since then. He started as a trial attorney in the Public Integrity section of the Criminal Division, where he prosecuted complex public corruption cases. After several years there, Mr. Rosenstein served in various key roles throughout the Department of Justice as counsel to the Deputy Attorney General, Special Assistant to the Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division, and as Associate Independent Counsel. In 1997, Mr. Rosenstein became an AUSA in the District of Maryland, where he prosecuted a wide range of criminal cases and argued appellate matters before the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. In 2001, he left the U.S. Attorney's Office to serve as the Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General for the department's Tax Division. But he wasn't gone from the U.S. Attorney's Office long, for in 2005, he returned to Maryland as the presidentially appointed U.S. Attorney. As the chief law enforcement officer in his district, he was not only a leader, but he was a doer. He got in the courtroom and tried cases alongside the AUSAs in his office and argued many appellate matters before the courts. He is truly a career prosecutor. And now he's our Deputy Attorney General. The President announced his intention to nominate Mr. Rosenstein in January of this year, and the Senate confirmed his nomination last month. Mr. Rosenstein was sworn in as the 37th Deputy Attorney General on April 26 by Attorney General Jeff Sessions. So please join me in welcoming United States Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
Thank you. Good morning. For those of you who are not familiar with the job, Deputy Attorney General is supposed to be a low-profile management job in Washington. I'm very honored to have it, but I'm most honored to be, as Tammy said, a career prosecutor. And I apologize for the lengthy introduction, but that's what I've been. I joined the Department of Justice in 1990, and I've never left. And it's been the greatest honor of my life to be able to work with so many of you in defending justice, fighting crime, and protecting American citizens. Tammy, I want to thank you for your generous introduction. I'm very grateful for the tremendous work that EOUSA has done in putting this conference together. This conference represents the best of the Department of Justice. EOUSA developed the idea for this conference as part of the department's Fraud Identification Center, what we call the FIC, which was established with the goal of gathering and analyzing industry data to detect financial frauds as they emerge. The FIC includes AUSAs and teams of attorneys and analysts from the Criminal Division, the Civil Division, and EOUSA. Our goal is to leverage the department's nationwide resources and diverse expertise to protect the public by applying cutting-edge capabilities to shut down novel ways of committing crime. The conference is designed to train our U.S. attorney community to join in the fight. We're also joined by our law enforcement and regulatory partners, as well as partners from the private sector. Let me thank each of you for your commitment to combat complex fraud schemes that affect Americans every single day, particularly those that are rooted in new cyber technologies and internet-based lending or trading platforms. I want to thank our official co-sponsors, including the FDIC Inspector General, the FINRA Investor Education Foundation, and Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business. And a special thank you to Kathy Rutledge, who many of you met on your way in. Kathy is on detail to EOUSA from the District of Kentucky, Eastern District of Kentucky, and this conference would not have been possible without her hard work. I'm particularly grateful to Georgetown and to John Jacobs for hosting this conference, and to our private sector speakers, some of whom I met this morning. They really symbolize our goal here, which is to recognize the partnership that's essential for us to remain engaged and informed about developing challenges to our economic system. Technology is rapidly transforming our financial ecosystem in both good and bad ways. Technology offers new investment vehicles to stimulate the economy and to bring economic growth. But at the same time, it paves new avenues, new opportunities for criminals to engage in larger, more devastating fraud schemes and to evade detection. Let me describe just a few examples of the ways that technology is transforming our financial system. First, consider crowdfunding. Until just a few years ago, businesses raised money through IPOs or stock sales on public exchanges, and individuals raised money through lines of credit or loans. That system presented barriers to capital for small businesses and individuals with poor credit. Crowdfunding provides an alternative to the traditional banking system. It creates a forum for individuals, nonprofits, and small businesses to raise funds through a social network or a private website quickly and easily. But the potential downside of crowdfunding is that it occurs outside the purview of any regulated banking or financial industry. Unregulated websites therefore provide a platform for criminals to defraud potential investors. And consider online trading. In the last century, brokers physically placed stock trades on the floor of an exchange. You knew who you were dealing with. But today, they trade via computer from locations around the world. Technology increases efficiency for traders, but it also creates the potential for fraud because you don't know who you're dealing with. In 2016, the Department of Justice extradited and convicted a British futures trader for fraud and spoofing in connection with a scheme perpetrated for years. The most significant event that he committed was on May 6th of 2010 when he caused a flash crash whereby the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged 600 points in 5 minutes. By manipulating trading technology through spoof orders, the criminal stole at least $12.8 million and spread panic on Wall Street. Cybercurrency is another game changer. Most of you are familiar with emerging currencies. Traditionally, currency was created by a nation state, backed by the full faith and credit of the country. But today, there are more than 700 virtual currencies, and more coming all the time. The best known of those is Bitcoin, which reportedly has a total market value of more than $30 billion and continuing to rise exponentially. Emerging currencies have the potential to transform the world, and to do so in a positive way. But criminals also are increasingly using virtual currency to perpetrate fraud schemes and conceal the proceeds, making our work all that more difficult. The department has successfully prosecuted individuals for laundering proceeds through virtual networks. Just last week, the entire globe was shaken by a malicious computer attack called ransomware. Ransomware schemes have garnered millions for cyber criminals who use software to hold victims' computers hostage. They encrypt files, and then they demand extortion payments to free the data, often requiring difficult-to-trace virtual currency. Ransomware attacks have rapidly become more prevalent thanks to improvements in encryption software and the growing use of Bitcoin. Now, those schemes illustrate that fraud in the digital age knows no boundaries. It targets vulnerable victims in small towns and large corporations in our nation's financial hubs. Everybody benefits from the successes of our financial system, and everybody suffers the serious harms of financial fraud. From bankrupting businesses to depleting hard-earned savings accounts to wiping out pensions, modern-day thieves can very quickly cause financial ruin. The Department of Justice, though, remains steadfast in its commitment to protecting our nation's financial system by thoroughly investigating and aggressively prosecuting fraud cases. I know these cases can be challenging. They're often perpetrated by foreign actors, making it difficult to collect the relevant evidence, interview witnesses, and prosecute targets. Criminals also use sophisticated tools such as encryption, the dark web, and virtual currency to shield their identities from law enforcement, part of what we call the going dark problem. These crimes often span many jurisdictions with no district readily able to see the full scope of the scheme. And those of you who are my age, which is about 52, those of you who are my age know when we started prosecuting back in the 80s and early 90s, the world was completely different. It's hard to relate to what we see today. The evidence in a financial fraud case might include a box or a couple of boxes of physical documents. What you deal with now is in a totally different order of magnitude. We recognize the challenges that you face in dealing with cyber evidence, trying to find suspects who are in unknown countries overseas. These are new and very difficult challenges. our department is focused on overcoming those challenges. We recognize that the tools that you need to successfully infiltrate and prosecute sophisticated fraud cases are expensive and complicated. We distribute funding through the Financial Fraud Enforcement Task Force to support prosecutions of sophisticated fraud. And we've created task forces, sponsored training programs, created listservs, and hosted roundtables about sophisticated fraud schemes. We'll continue to devote resources to this critically important problem and to making sure that you have the tools and expertise that you need to take it on. Financial fraud is a global problem that requires a global solution. The Department of Justice cannot succeed alone. Collaboration and cooperation are keys to our continuing success. And now more than ever, law enforcement must deepen its already strong partnerships with the private sector, regulatory agencies, and our international counterparts to fight collectively to safeguard our nation's financial institutions and to protect American citizens from being defrauded. Today's conference is an important step in furthering the dialogue and in renewing our united commitment, our resolve to combat financial crimes. I am honored to be working with you to fight crime and to protect the integrity of our financial system. A lot of people are counting on you. I want to thank you for your hard work, thank you for your public service, and thank you for your commitment to protecting the American people. We've got a great agenda. Hope you enjoy the conference, and I hope you enjoy your visit here to Washington, D.C. Thank you very much.